The explosion in the skies. The night sky over the quiet forest was calm. Stars twinkled above, and only the sound of crickets filled the air. Rane, a young human mechanic, sat near his old van, fixing a small engine. He liked coming to the forest. It was peaceful, away from the noisy cities and busy people, but that night peace did not last long. Suddenly the sky lit up with a loud boom. A bright flash of light tore across the stars like fire. Something massive was falling, fast. Rane jumped up, his eyes wide as he saw a huge burning object crash down behind the hills. The ground shook, birds flew from trees, smoke rose in the air. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. Without thinking, Rane grabbed his flashlight and tools, jumped into his van, and drove toward the smoke. His heart pounded. He didn't know what he would find. Maybe a meteor, a crashed ship. He had seen strange things before, but nothing like this. After 15 minutes of rough driving, he reached a clearing. The forest here was scorched. Trees were on fire. Metal parts lay scattered on the ground. Rain stepped out slowly, coughing from the smoke. Then he saw it. A broken alien ship. The craft was huge, shaped like a silver crescent, now torn and burning. Rain had seen alien ships in pictures, but never this close. He walked closer, careful, of hot debris. He searched for signs of life. And then, he heard a soft cry. It was coming from behind a piece of wreckage. Rane ran toward it and found someone lying in the dirt, a girl. But not human. Her skin was smooth and glowing like silver silk. Long strands of white hair fell over her face. She wore strange, royal-like robes, torn and dirty. Glowing lines marked her arms and neck. She was young, maybe his age, and beautiful, like something out of a dream. But her body was shaking. She was bleeding. She was in pain. Rane knelt beside her. Hey, can you hear me?" he said gently. Her eyes opened slowly. They were golden, bright and full of fire. She looked at him confused, weak, and then suddenly, angry. "Don't touch me," she shouted in a harsh alien accent. Rane was shocked. "I'm trying to help. You are a human," she spat, trying to sit up. "Do not lay your dirty hands on a daughter of Serenthia." She pushed him back but then collapsed again, her body too weak to move. Rane looked around. The fire was spreading. If he left her, she would die. He took a deep breath. "Sorry, princess," he muttered, "but you're coming with me." He gently picked her up. She was light, but her glowing skin felt strange against his. She tried to push him again but failed. Her eyes filled with fury and helplessness. "You dare carry me?" "I dare save your life," Rane replied. He ran back to his van, carrying her in his arms. He placed her gently in the back seat, covering her with a blanket. As he started driving, he looked at her again. She had fainted, but she still looked proud, like a queen who had fallen from the sky. As Rane drove through the dark woods, his mind raced. Who was she? Why was she alone? And why did her own people leave her behind? But far above them, in the sky, something watched. A small, black drone hovered silently near the crash site. Its lens zoomed in on the trail Rane left. It recorded the girl's face and sent a message in alien code. Target located. Human interference detected. Orders: eliminate both. The forbidden shelter. The van sped through the forest, bouncing on rough paths. Rane gripped the steering wheel tightly, glancing back at the alien girl lying unconscious on the seat. Her silver-blue skin glowed faintly in the darkness. The strange lines on her arms pulsed like slow heartbeats. She didn't look like a warrior or soldier. She looked more like royalty. But even in sleep, her eyebrows were tight with anger. "I just saved your life," Rane muttered. You could have at least said thank you. The forest opened into a hidden valley. There, covered by bushes and broken rocks, stood Rane's secret shelter. It was an old military bunker, left behind, decades ago. Ron had repaired it over the years. Solar power, clean water, strong steel doors, hidden cameras. No one knew it existed. He parked the van inside the overgrown entrance and carried the girl in his arms again. She stirred slightly and whispered, something in a language he didn't understand. Easy, he said. You're safe now, I think. He laid her gently on a small bed inside the bunker. Then he grabbed a clean towel, some water, and his old med kit. Carefully, he started cleaning her wounds. They were strange. Her blood shimmered like liquid, crystal. She had cuts across her ribs, bruises on her legs, and burn marks from the crash. Her clothing, once clearly royal, was torn badly. But Rane's hands froze when he saw a tiny silver chip at the back of her neck. It blinked once, then stopped. Some kind of tracker? He whispered. He tried to touch it. Suddenly, her hand grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. Don't touch that, she said coldly, her golden eyes now wide open. You don't know what you're doing. Rane gently pulled his hand back. I was just trying to help. She sat up, wincing in pain. She looked around the bunker with sharp, untrusting eyes. This place, it is primitive, dirty, human, she said, disgusted. It's not much, Rane replied, but it's the only reason you're not burning with the rest of your ship. She turned her head away, clearly offended. You had no right to touch me. I am Valarithar, daughter of the High Seat of Serenthia. You are nothing. Rane laughed, shaking his head. Wow. Even after almost dying, you're still full of yourself. I do not need your sarcasm, primitive. And I don't need your attitude, princess. She tried to stand, but her legs gave out and she fell. Rane caught her just in time. I said, don't touch me, she shouted. Fine, he said, stepping back. Next time you fall, enjoy the floor. She looked at him, confused by his boldness. Most beings bowed before Cyrenthian royalty. This, human, he dared speak like an equal. For the next few hours, silence filled the shelter. Valari lay on the bed, quietly studying Rane as he worked on a small machine. What are you building? She finally asked. A translator, he said, not looking up. So next time you insult me, I can hear it in perfect detail. She raised an eyebrow. You're smarter than most humans I've heard about. And you're ruder than any alien I've ever seen. She almost smiled. Almost. Later that night, Rane offered her soup. She stared at it like it was poison. I don't eat this, she said. Suit yourself, he replied, sipping it. If you starve, it's not my fault. She watched him. His face was calm. His hands were rough but careful. There was no fear in him. No greed. He hadn't taken anything from her. Not her armor, not her tech, not even a photo. He had saved her, and expected nothing in return. For the first time, Valari felt unsure. She had been taught that humans were base, selfish, dirty creatures. But this one didn't fit that image. Hours passed. Valari slept again. But far above in the sky, the silent black drone received new instructions. Human shelter located. Confirming alien air's presence. Ground squad en route, no survivors. Morning came. Valari woke up to soft humming. She walked slowly toward the sound and found Rane sitting by the translator. He looked up. It's working, he said. I uploaded some alien data I collected last year. You should be able to talk more clearly soon. She nodded slowly. Why are you helping me? You know who I am. Yeah, he said. You're a pain in the ass, but you're hurt. And I'm not the kind of guy who walks away from someone who needs help. Her lips parted slightly. You're strange, for a human. Before he could reply, the shelter lights blinked red. Motion detectors. Rane jumped to his feet. He checked the cameras, his face went pale. Drones. 3 of them. And something else. Something big. Valari rushed over. That's Cyrenthian death troopers. They're not here to rescue me. They're here to kill you, Rane said. And anyone who helped me, she added, eyes locking with his. For the first time, true fear touched her face. What do we do? She asked. Rane picked up a plasma rifle from the wall. We fight. Enemies from the stars. Smoke drifted from the distant tree line. The motion sensors kept blinking red, and Rane knew it wasn't a mistake. Someone, or something, was coming. Inside, the bunker. The atmosphere had changed. Valari no longer looked proud and distant. She stood close to the monitor, her arms crossed over her chest, eyes locked on the grainy footage showing black-armored figures moving through the forest like shadows. Those are Cyrenthian blackguards, she whispered. They don't take prisoners. They erase problems. Rane checked his weapon again. I guess you're a problem now. She didn't answer. Her eyes were hard, focused, but there was a flicker of something. Regret. You could leave, she said quietly. They're here for me. If they find you with me, you'll die too. Rane shrugged. I'm already involved, and I don't run. Valari looked at him. For a moment, she didn't see a primitive human. She saw someone brave, someone different. But before anything more could be said, the ground trembled. A loud, heavy footstep echoed through the forest, followed by another. The bunker's seismic sensors screamed. What is that? Ron asked. Valari stepped forward, her face turning pale. They sent a Mall-class enforcer mech. That sounds bad. It is, she replied. It's a walking death machine. Even I was never allowed near one. It means someone powerful. Wants me dead. Rain didn't waste time. He rushed to the control panel and activated the defense barriers. Energy shields lit up at the bunker's entrance. He handed Valari a smaller blaster. Know how to use this? She looked insulted. I've been trained since birth. Cool. Try not to point it at me. Valari didn't smile, but her hands stopped trembling. They waited in silence. Outside, the trees cracked, and shadows moved quickly. The sound of alien footsteps was getting louder. Then came a new sound, the grinding hiss of steel against earth. They're surrounding us, Valari said. Standard tactic. Push us out, then burn us alive. Not if I burn them first, Rane said. First drone flew over the hill, Rain fired. The bolt hit its side and it spun out, crashing into a tree. A second drone came fast, but Valari took the shot this time, right between its sensors. I thought you said you hated humans, Rane shouted as they ducked behind cover. I still do, she yelled back, but I hate being executed more. They fought side by side, taking out 3 more scouts. But then, the ground shook again. The trees parted, and the Mall-class mech stepped into view. It was a monster, 12 feet tall, covered in black and silver plating, with red energy glowing from its chest. A massive cannon was mounted on one arm, and its other arm ended in a plasma blade. A Cyrenthian trooper stood atop it, helmeted and silent. The mech locked onto the bunker. Then it fired. The blast hit the shield, sending sparks flying. Alarms rang. Rane pulled Valari down behind steel crates. This bunker won't hold long, he yelled. Valari clenched her fists. There's a manual override in that mech. If we reach it, we can shut it down. You mean get close to it? Yes. Great. That's suicide. She turned to him. You saved me. Now I save you. He looked at her, really looked at her. The fire in her golden eyes was not just pride anymore. It was something else, something stronger. All right, royalty, he said. Let's do it your way. They slipped through the rear hatch of the bunker as the front shield continued to hold fire. Using the trees as cover, they circled around. The mech was focused on the front, just as Rane hoped. They reached a small hill behind it. Valari showed him a round metal device. What's that? He asked. A pulse grenade. If I get close, I can disable its weapons for 5 seconds. That's all you'll get. 5 seconds, got it. She looked at him, then hesitated. If I don't make it, you'll make it. She nodded. On my signal. Valari sprinted down the hill, fast and graceful like a dancer. The mech turned, sensing her, but too late. She slid underneath and threw the grenade at its side. Boom! The mech sparked and shook violently. Its systems stuttered. Now, Rane! She shouted. Rane ran up the side and leapt, grabbing onto a broken panel. He pulled out a plasma knife and drove it into the override slot Valari described. Sparks flew, and the red glow on the mech's chest dimmed. It began to power down. But the trooper on board wasn't done yet. He jumped down, tackling Rane to the ground. The fight was brutal. The Cyrenthian trooper was stronger, faster, and armored. But Rane was clever. He used the dirt, the broken trees, and every trick he knew from survival. The trooper pinned him, blade rising. Then, blast! Valari shot the trooper in the back. He collapsed. Rane looked up, breathing hard. Valari walked over, holding out a hand. You dare touch me again, she smirked. But this time I allow it. He laughed and took her hand. As they walked back to the bunker, bruised but alive, Valari spoke softly. You fought beside me, like a knight. I thought I was just a primitive. You still are, she said. But a useful one. Rani grinned. High praise coming from you. But, deep in orbit, a cold voice echoed inside a command ship. The air still lives. Send Phase 2, the highborn's choice. Smoke still lingered in the forest, and the remains of the fallen mech hissed quietly as its systems cooled. Rane and Valari sat in silence on the bunker's rooftop, both catching their breath. Their hands were scraped, their clothes torn and ash-painted streaks across their faces. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Finally, Valari broke the silence. This shouldn't be happening. My people were supposed to protect me, not hunt me like a criminal. Rane didn't say anything at first. He looked at her, really looked. Not at her glowing skin, or alien markings, or royal posture, but at the pain behind her golden eyes. What happened, Valari? He asked quietly. Why were you on that ship alone? Why did they want you dead? She took a deep breath. For the first time, her proud voice was soft. I was running away. Rane blinked. Running? A highborn alien like you? Valari nodded, slowly. They arranged my bonding ceremony. I was supposed to be given to a political ally. Someone cruel, twice my age, powerful. I refused. And they punished you for that? They called it dishonor, she said. My own mother ordered me off-world, said it was for reflection. But I knew. It was exile, quiet removal. And when my ship was attacked in orbit, I understood. Someone gave the order. She looked down at her hands, still shaking. I wasn't supposed to survive. Rane stood and walked over to his workbench. He brought back a small device and handed it to her. What is this? She asked. A communicator. I fixed yours. If you want, you can call for help. Maybe someone who will actually care. She stared at the device for a long time. If I use this, they'll find me again. Then don't use it. But if I don't, I'll never be able to go back. Rane sat beside her again. Do you want to go back? Valari didn't answer. Instead, she asked, what would you do if your whole world turned on you? Rane smiled sadly. Mine already did. That's why I live out here. She looked at him surprised. I was in the space engineering program. Brilliant grades, big dreams. But I exposed something I wasn't supposed to. A corporate deal that would have killed hundreds of colonists. They kicked me out, labeled me unstable. My sister, she was on one of the transports that exploded. No one believed me. Valari whispered, I'm sorry. Rani shrugged. I don't need pity. I just know how it feels to be thrown away. Later that night, Valari stood at the top of a cliff behind the bunker, holding the communicator. She raised it. Her thumb hovered over the button. A voice played softly from it, an old message. Her mother's voice. Valarithar, you must do your duty. Your value is not in your feelings, but in your usefulness. Love is weakness. Attachment is failure. Do what must be done. Valari's hand trembled. She turned the device off and threw it off the cliff. It disappeared into the dark forest below. She didn't want to go back. The next day, the forest felt calm again. Rane and Valari began working together to fortify the bunker. They added traps, solar power boosters, and perimeter sensors. Rane even taught her how to repair Earth machines. To his surprise, she was a fast learner and more humble now. You humans are creative, she said one afternoon, tightening a bolt. Wow, Rane said. Was that a compliment? Do not get used to it. But this time she smiled, just as things began to feel safe. The sensors flashed again, but it wasn't an army this time. It was a single ship descending quietly into the valley. Sleek, black, and with no markings. Valari narrowed her eyes. That's not Cerinthian design. The ship landed softly, releasing a cool hiss of air. From it stepped a woman, tall with skin like shimmering bronze and sharp violet eyes. She wore armor laced with glowing threads. Her expression was calm, but dangerous. Valari froze. That's Admiral Liskara. She's from the outer houses. Rane readied his weapon. Friend or enemy? Depends what she's been paid. Liskara raised her voice. Valarithar, you survived. Impressive. Valari stepped forward, chin high. You're not here for rescue, you're here to finish the job. No, Liskara replied. I'm here to offer you a choice. What choice? Come with me. Quietly. We'll restore your name. Say you were found alive and healed. You'll be placed back in the bonding program. Obey and you'll live. Valari's voice was like ice. And if I refuse? Liskara smiled. Then your location will be transmitted to the high seat. And this time, they'll send a fleet. Rane stepped forward. You don't get to decide that. Liskara glanced at him. You must be the human, the one she let touch her. You don't understand how delicate this is. I understand enough. You're using her. She is property of her people, nothing more. Valari's fists clenched, her voice rose like thunder. No, I am not property, not anymore. She walked beside Rane shoulder to shoulder. I choose Earth. I choose him. I choose my own future. Liskara stared at her, then sighed. So be it. She pressed a button. The ship lifted off and vanished into the clouds. But Valari and Rane both knew. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something far bigger. That night, under the stars, Valari sat beside Rane outside the bunker. Do you think I made the right choice? She asked. Rane nodded. It was your choice. That's what makes it right. She looked at him, her voice softer than ever. I used to hate being touched by a human. But now, she reached out slowly, gently placing her hand over his. I'm glad you did. Captured by betrayal, it had been 2 peaceful days. No drones, no ships, no attacks. Valari helped Rane plant herbs near the bunker entrance. She laughed, really laughed, for the first time. Her glowing eyes softened. Her voice, once sharp and royal, had grown calm and thoughtful. Rane, too, seemed lighter. He joked more. He even started teaching her earth music on a broken guitar. Valari called it a primitive noisemaker, but secretly, she loved the sound. Still, deep in their hearts, both of them knew peace wouldn't last. And it didn't. Just before sunset, the alarm pinged once, then went silent. Something's wrong, Rane said, checking the sensors. Valari's smile faded instantly. Is it a ship? Rane frowned. No, it's not showing anything. That made it worse. They armed themselves and waited near the entrance, eyes sharp. Then, a sound. Soft footsteps. Crunching leaves. A familiar voice. Valari, it's me, Thalon. Valari froze. She ran out without hesitation. Thalon, you're alive. From The tree stepped a tall alien male with short silver hair, glowing green eyes and battle armor marked with the crest of House Cyrenthia. He looked tired but smiled at her. "I escaped the outer colonies," he said. "When I heard your ship was attacked, I searched every outpost. I knew you were alive." Valari rushed to him and hugged him tightly. Rane stood back, confused. "Who is this?" he asked. Thalen looked at him. The smile vanished. "The human," he said coldly. "He saved me," Valari replied quickly. "I'd be dead without him." Thalen narrowed his eyes. "You let him touch you?" Ron's hand tightened on his weapon, but he said nothing. Valari stood tall. "He's not just a savior, he's my friend. My equal." Thalen's expression hardened. "We'll speak of this later. Right now, we must leave. A new order has been passed. You're no longer safe here." Valari hesitated. "Leave? To where?" "I have a hidden ship nearby," Thalen said. "I'll take you somewhere safe, far from Cerenthia's grasp." Rane stepped forward. "And me?" Thalen looked at him like dirt. "This is not your concern." Valari frowned. "He comes too. I won't leave him." Thalen forced a smile. "Of course, if that's what you wish." They traveled into the woods to where Thalen said his ship was parked. Valari walked ahead with him, talking softly. Rane walked behind them, something cold growing in his chest. Something wasn't right. Thalen kept asking about her, what she told the human, what technology she had left behind, if the tracker in her neck was disabled. Rane noticed small things too. Thalen's hand brushed the back of her neck twice, too casually. Then, they reached a clearing, and Rane saw it. Not a rescue ship, a military prisoner transport, and 4 Cerenthian troopers stood waiting, weapons ready. Rane raised his blaster instantly. "Valari, run!" But it was too late. Thalen pulled a small rod from his belt and stabbed it into her back. Electric pulses exploded through her body and she collapsed, screaming. Ron fired. 1 trooper fell. Another rushed toward him. He ducked behind a tree and shot again, but they were too many. He felt a searing burn across his back as a stun bolt hit him. He dropped to the ground. Everything blurred. He heard Valari's voice, weak, broken. "Why, Thalen?" Thalen's voice was sharp. "Because you are a threat to the high seat. You were supposed to die in that crash, but now you'll be erased the old-fashioned way." Rane tried to crawl, but another blast hit him. Darkness swallowed him. When Rane woke, his head throbbed. His arms were chained behind his back. He was inside the transport. Cold steel walls, no windows, just pain. Across from him, Valari sat on her knees, head down. Her wrists were cuffed in glowing rings. Her robe was torn again, her markings dim. She didn't even look up. "Valari," Rane whispered. "You okay?" She raised her head slowly. Tears stained her cheeks. "I trusted him. Thalen. He was like family. He betrayed you." "I was foolish," she said. "All my life I believed in loyalty, blood, house honor, but it was all lies." Rane leaned against the wall. "You made a mistake. That doesn't make you weak," she looked into his eyes. "But it got you captured too." Rane smiled softly. "If I had the choice, I'd still save you. Every time." Her lips trembled. Then the door opened. Thalen walked in, helmet off, face cold. "You'll both be transferred to the orbiting ship in 1 hour," he said. "Enjoy your last moments." Valari looked at him. "Why do you look so proud? You're not protecting your people. You're just following orders." Thalen smirked. "That's what duty is, princess. Doing what must be done." He turned and walked out. The door closed again. Rane looked at Valari. "Do you trust me?" She nodded, eyes still wet. He smiled faintly. "Good, because I've got a plan." She blinked. "You do?" "Kind of. Half a plan. And the other half? We improvise." Escape and fire. The ship rumbled as it lifted from the ground. The cold hum of the engines echoed through the steel walls. Ronnie's heart raced. Time was running out. Villari sat beside him, wrists still glowing with energy cuffs. Her head was bowed, but her mind was awake, burning with guilt, anger, and a single fierce thought. We must escape. Thalen had left them alone for now. He believed the fight was gone from them. He believed Villari's will had broken. He was wrong. Rene leaned close and whispered, "When I fixed your translator, I also made a copy of your ship's control codes." Villari looked at him sharply. "You did what?" "I had to learn how to read your tech, just in case." He smirked. "Lucky, huh?" Her expression changed, from sadness to hope. "You're not as primitive as I thought," she whispered. He winked. "Thanks, royalty." Their cuffs were energy-linked to the ship's system, but the control unit sat in the corner, unguarded. Ronnie slowly reached into his boot. Inside, hidden in the lining, was a thin piece of alien wire he'd pulled from the mech 2 nights ago. Carefully, silently, he twisted it into the lock around his wrist. The cuff hissed, buzzed, and then clicked open. Villari stared at him. "Show off," she muttered. He helped unlock hers. Her cuffs sparked and dropped to the floor. Instantly, they both ran to the panel. Rani connected the wire, typing fast in the Cyrenthian language. Villari stood guard by the door. Suddenly, an alarm blared. "Warning, prisoner escape in progress." Thalen's voice shouted through the speaker. "Stop them." Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Villari grabbed a stun rod from the wall and swung it hard as the first trooper burst in. Crack. He dropped like stone. Another came. Ronnie tackled him, slamming his head against the steel door. They raced into the main corridor. Cyrenthian soldiers surrounded them. Villari didn't hesitate. She grabbed a fallen blaster and fired. Ronnie followed. Together they fought side by side, dodging shots, taking down enemy after enemy. But more kept coming. "Too many!" Rana yelled. "We need an exit." Villari scanned the hallway and pointed. "The vent shaft, there!" They dove into the narrow metal tunnel, crawling fast as lasers shot past. The shaft rattled as soldiers chased behind them. Smoke filled the air. Up ahead, a fork. "Which way?" Rane asked. Villari paused, then pointed. "Left. It leads to the cargo bay." They slid down a steep tube and dropped into a large chamber full of crates and weapon lockers, and in the middle of it, an escape pod, small, old, damaged, but their only hope. Villari ran to the pod while Rane sealed the door behind them using a heavy wrench. Blaster shots thudded on the other side. "Hurry," she yelled. "I'm working on it." He shouted. The pod powered up, barely. Lights flickered. Systems groaned. "They locked out the launch," she said. "We need a core override." Riney crawled under the panel, sparks flying around him. His fingers flew. The override system buzzed. Denied. Again, denied. He shouted, "Come on, come on." Villari slammed her fist on the console. Suddenly the screen blinked. Override accepted. The pod doors sealed. The countdown began. 5. 4. They held hands. 3. A blaster bolt punched through the wall. 2. The pod shook violently. 1. Launch. The pod burst from the ship like a bullet of fire. Inside, Rane and Villari held on tight as it spiraled through the sky. Behind them, the Cyrenthian transport exploded. Rane blinked. "Wait, did we do that?" Villari looked surprised. "Maybe the damaged mech core reacted with the ship's weapons cache," he laughed. "Or maybe we're just lucky." She smiled. "No, we're dangerous." The pod crashed into a lake near the forest where they first met. Steam rose as the water cooled the burning metal. They climbed out, soaked, but alive. Villari fell to her knees, breathing hard. Then she laughed. Truly laughed. "I thought we were dead." "We almost were," Rane said, sitting beside her. She turned to him, her wet silver hair clinging to her cheeks. I owe you everything. He shook his head. You don't owe me anything. Valari's eyes softened. You don't understand. Back home, I was a symbol, a name, a tool. But here, she touched her chest. I feel like a person. And I feel like I found someone I wasn't even looking for. Rane whispered. They sat in silence, watching the smoke rise from the sky. Valari leaned her head on his shoulder and whispered, Next time if I fall, I want your arms to catch me. But miles above them in the shadows of space, a larger ship watched. A deep voice spoke. The air has chosen exile. Very well. Let her see what exile truly feels like. The why. Galaxy would not forget Valarithar, and her war had just begun. The heir who chose Earth. Days passed. The smoke in the sky faded. The bunker stood silent once more. Birds returned to the trees. Rivers flowed again. But something had changed. Valarithar, the proud heir of Serenthia, was no longer a royal running from fate. She was now a fighter who had made a choice. Inside the bunker, Rane stood over a large table, scanning intergalactic news on his solar-powered screen. He read message after message. Alien heir declared, Rogue. High seat denies involvement in her disappearance. Reward offered for information. He shut the screen off and sighed. Valari sat on the edge of the bed cleaning a blaster. Her movements were sharp and practiced now, like a soldier, not a spoiled noble. Her eyes met Rane's. They've declared me a traitor, she said. You were already one, Rane replied with a grin. She raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? A traitor to everything fake, he said. That makes you real. Her lips curved slightly, but there was something else in her gaze. Worry. They'll keep hunting me. As long as I live, the high seat won't rest. Then, we make them regret chasing you, Rane said. She tilted her head. And how do you plan to do that? We don't run anymore, he said. We stand. That evening, Valari did something unexpected. She sat down in front of Rane's old comlink setup. She stared at the blinking red light that connected to the intergalactic relay station. Are you sure? Rane asked. No more hiding, she said. I need to speak to the galaxy. She tapped a few keys. The screen glowed and she began to speak. This is Valarithar of Serenthia. I am not dead. I am not lost. I am alive, and I am free. To every world, every race, every being who has ever been used, betrayed, or silenced, I see you. I was born a symbol, a tool for others. But I choose something else now. I choose my own path. I choose Earth. I choose a people who may be imperfect, but fight for each other with honest hearts. Let it be known. The highborn have lied, and I will no longer kneel to them. She paused, then added softly, I've found someone worth standing beside, and I'll protect him with my life. The message was sent and the galaxy shook. Across stars and systems, people listened. Some cheered, some feared, and some wanted her dead more than ever. That night, Rane and Valari sat outside the bunker looking up at the sky. You didn't have to mention me, Rane said, pretending to sound casual. I did, she replied. Because you're the reason I opened my eyes. He turned to her. So, what now? We stay here forever? Valari shook her head. No. We gather allies, outcasts, truth-seekers. There are more like us, and we'll find them. Are you saying we build a rebellion? I'm saying we build a home, a new one, not just for me, for anyone who's ever been thrown away. Suddenly, alarms blared. Motion detected. Rane rushed to the console. A ship just entered the atmosphere, he said. No weapons, but it's coming fast. Valari stepped beside him. Put it on screen. The image showed a small, sleek ship with an unusual mark. Her eyes widened. That's, a House Virellan scout ship. They're known rebels. The ship landed near the cliffside. Rane grabbed his weapon, but Valari raised a hand. Let me go alone." He watched her walk out into the moonlight, glowing softly as she approached the ship. From the vessel stepped a woman with emerald eyes and scars across her cheek. She wore patchwork armor and a blaster at her side. She bowed slightly. "I received your message," the woman said. "You're braver than I expected, Highborn." Valari stood tall. "I'm not Highborn anymore, I'm just Valari. And I'm Commander Tasha Varelin. If your words were truth, we'll follow you." Valari's eyes filled with something she hadn't known in a long time: hope. That night, the bunker was no longer just a hideout. It became a base. One ship turned into 3. Then 6. More outcasts arrived. Humans, aliens, hybrids. They brought old weapons, stolen ships, and the most powerful thing of all: belief in a girl who had once been royalty and in a man who had once been forgotten. Weeks later, Rane walked past rows of rebels, now training in the woods. Valari stood among them, teaching hand-to-hand combat, her voice sharp but encouraging. He watched her, stronger, fiercer, still beautiful, but now full of purpose. She saw him and walked over, breathing hard. "Tired?" he teased. "I'm just getting started." They stood close. Valari reached into her pocket and pulled out something small, a silver ring. Simple, smooth, but elegant. "Where I come from," she said, "bonding is arranged, cold, forced. But if I were to choose," she slipped the ring into his hand, "I'd choose you." Rane's voice caught in his throat. He took the ring gently, then leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't desperate. It was real. Above them, far in space, Cerinthian Command watched the growing alliance. One general slammed his fist against the screen. "Send the fleet. Burn that planet if you must." But another voice, older, colder, spoke. "No. Let them grow. Let them gather others. Then, when they believe they are strong, we crush them." But the general was wrong. Because this time, they weren't just fighting a girl. They were facing a movement, and its heart burned with a fire they could never understand. The fire of freedom.